Hi, I'm back with part 2 of my review of Faerie Winter by Janny Lee Simner. This is what the cover looks like. If I can get the light from to stop. There we go. That's what the cover looks like. And I'm going to get into it right away. The plot of this book is basically Liza dealing with the consequences of her actions at the end of the last book, when she brings a seed over to this realm from the other realm, and it grows into a big tree, and the tree it brings on winter. It takes all the plants and greenery that's around, they go to sleep. And 6 months have passed and the plants are still hibernating and still sleeping, but at this point it's become dangerous because they're slowly dying. All the greenery is slowly dying, and she's trying to fix it. She's been trying to summon spring back, and it hasn't been working out. And it's been explained to her that simply the reason why it may be difficult to do so is because Faerie and our world they have a symbiotic relationship where there is something that passes between the greenery here and Faerie that reminds them that when they hibernate for the winter, that when it's time for spring, it helps them to remember what they are, and they're alive, and they should wake up. And that connection has been lost because Faerie now is this poisoned wasteland. So, and it's becoming common knowledge that most kids that are born after the war, if they don't show signs of magic upon their birth, as they get older, they develop magic. So all of these things, all these new experiences and new situations that are happening to her, and a new danger arrives in the form of the lady, the queen of Faerie. And Liza has to find the strength to go up against her, and basically that's the plot of Faerie Winter. Having said that, I really wanted to like this book. I really wanted to love it and add it to my my staple shelf, but I just couldn't. I really couldn't, because all of the quirks and irks of the first book followed into this book. Now, I gave the first book, Bones of Faerie, the benefit of the doubt because I figured, it's the first book in the series, and a lot of foundation books in the series, they're not always as good as the second because it's a foundation book. It's establishing the character, it's establishing the world. It's a lot of ground building in the first book. So a lot of times, the first one is not as good as the second. By the time you get to the second, all the characters are established, the world is established, the mythology of the world is established, so you have the freedom to focus on the story. But in this book, and I'm sad to say, there was not a lot that I liked about it. There were elements of the story that there were times in the story that I wanted to put the book down, and I did. And there were times where I was so compelled through the story that I flipped through the pages and like devoured them. And then there were other times where it just slowed down for me and I just put it back down. And this up and down, it was just, it spoke to the state of the story. Number one, Liza, the main character, she still is very uninteresting. She hasn't grown much. And she still has that same type personality from the first. except in this book, she is more accepting of magic. She's more stronger in her own magic. But that's the only that's the only distinction for me. Her mother is way more interesting of a character than Eliza is, which is sad because although her mother is in this book, she's not featured throughout the book. But the times that she does pop up in the book, she is way more interesting than Liza, which is sad because Liza is the main character. Karen and Kyle, also the two sub characters that are along with Liza in this journey. Kyle is 5, and he's a cute little boy, and he is even way more interesting than Liza. And it's really sad to me that the main character is so vanilla that other characters, even sub characters or minor characters, are way more interesting than her. That I'm looking for here. But what interested me about the first book, about the plot being the dystopian with magic and everything, it was a great thing in the first book. It was a novelty in the first book. In the second book, it's just repetitive. To me personally, because for me, I thought I would have thought that after establishing all of that groundwork in the first book, that it would have the second story would have had some growth. That there would be some difference. There were a couple of characters that she introduced, but it's just, to me, it wasn't enough to save the story. And the lady that she made her just, to me, the lady came across as this spiteful child who someone had done wrong, and she was getting back at them because she had the power to do so. That's what it struck me, and I didn't like her character. And the ending of the book totally turned me off, because Liza is supposed to be the main character. She's supposed to be the hero, the summoner, the one that's supposed to be able to stand up to the lady. She's not. She's not the one that confronts the lady. She tries and fails miserably. But I just thought that as the lead, she would have been given the power to overcome the lady, even if at first she fell under the spell and she couldn't fight it. But that's part of how characters evolve. They learn, they get stronger, and I thought that she would eventually get strong enough that she would be able to overcome the lady and not fall under her spell. Although she does bring Spring back, which is a huge deal. I mean, she kind of saves everyone by doing that, because we need the trees for the air, life, food, that stuff. So she does come through in that sense, but that's all she does really. And that's basically how the book ends. And I thought there would be more of a story here. There would be more plot points, and there weren't enough for me. So I gave Faerie Winter 3. I would have loved to give it a 3.5 or a 4 or something like that, but I gave it a 3 because it was a disappointment, because I figured as the second book that it should have been way better than it was. So that's it, guys. I hope that review is helpful in some way, and remember that these are my opinions of what I think of these books. Now, I may have a certain opinion about them, and your opinion may vary from mine. So if you feel that if you've read this book and you didn't like it, or you did like it, drop me a line in the comments. Let me know what you thought of it, if you agree with me or disagree. And you have an open dialogue. That's what this forum is for. So I'll see you guys in my next video. So bye.